So yes, welcome. And thank you for inviting me to join you for this last presentation, keynote speech. And really what I wanted to talk to you about is basically some work that we've been doing with Indonesia for 3 years now, just before the beginning of the COVID pandemic, a year or 2 years before that, and then through the pandemic. And how we've gone about embedding entrepreneurial resilience in Indonesia and the experience that we've had in creation that GITA experience for entrepreneurs and innovation in the experience. So I have a mentor from the University Adam Dalai, Bu Ida Pusita, who helps me with learning Indonesian. So if I could say quickly that Terima kasih telah mengundang saya konferensi ICFBE 2022 di Bali dan sangat bisa bangga tentang Anda hari ini, which I hope translates for thank you for inviting me to the ICFBE conference in Bali. I'm really pleased to be joining you today. How do we get to this point? How do we get to this place where we have fantastic engagement with entrepreneurship development and economic benefits from in Indonesia? It starts in education. And education in higher education is incredibly important. And we've been working across Indonesia with universities now and partners to develop a toolkit of teaching across all subjects, across all subject communities, all subjects, whether it's medicine, business management, veterinary surgery, pharmacy, engineering, technology, English, sciences, religious studies, it doesn't matter what it is. We've used this toolkit to bring in entrepreneurial learning outcomes across all modules taught by all students and training the academics to deliver that program. And this slide just shows you one particular module. It doesn't really matter what it is, but the circles is where we've identified shortcomings in the curriculum, and we've looked to then redevelop it on these 3 areas of entrepreneurship, which is really crucial to developing this across Indonesia's education system for the graduates that are now, for the students rather, who are now graduating from Indonesia. The other side of this is the implementation stage of where we bring in research and academia into the innovation of creativity, of bringing new ideas into students who will then contribute, whether they work in an organization or create their own businesses. Their own education has created this mindset of entrepreneurship going through from 2020 it started, going through from there onwards. And I wanted to show you the triangular approach that we've been using there that creates the GITA name, which is Growing Indonesia, a triangular approach. And there are 3 parts of this. In every university now, we have areas where they can develop new ideas separate from their teaching environment. So growth hubs, they're called, and they can incubate and innovate. And we saw Set Sail, which is President's incubator, and growth hub, and also space and place where they can talk to professional external partners coming into the university is a very important part to develop that mindset of entrepreneurship with students. The second bit is how we bring in the stakeholders in that growth hub and how we build up those relationships and teach people about how we manage relationships and focus and prioritize effort and resources into them. And the third bit, what I've just talked about, is how we teach entrepreneurial learning outcomes in all study programs. So it's an important part of the whole process to develop enterprise creation. That will be working with the Ministry of in Indonesia of Innovation Research and Innovation to help us develop this program and roll it out across Indonesia over the last 3 years with some tremendous success that we never expected. And listening to the presenters today, I'm just impressed by all of the work that we see now starting to see come through into work that academics and new businesses, startup businesses are creating. So this is what we've been doing. We've been nurturing character building and enterprise mindset so that we can see evidence of an experience of the entrepreneurship working through into the Indonesian economy in businesses, starting from small perspective, now developing it into much larger trends. And it's a socio-economic development and resilience activity. It's not just an academic project. This project is that project I've been working for and led for 3 years, but it's a completely different project that I ever expected. The outcomes of it are immense. The way that the Indonesian have taken on board and developed this whole methodology is inspiring for me. We've looked at almost a quarter of all study programs now to develop that by the beginning of the pandemic. The pandemic came and caused us some challenges, but in the pandemic, there were good things as well as there was a lot of challenges financially. But as we've been seeing now, reporting in Europe, there's some businesses that are succeeding incredibly well by going online, but now they need to go back to face-to-face as well as online. So the development of this social economic growth in Indonesia has been something that's been really well received and developed now into the mindset of policy making within Indonesian ministry. Just to give you some idea of what we've achieved in 2019, 2020, this is just before the pandemic hit us. We created 112 new startup businesses. These are startup businesses that are trading, not just startup businesses that are thinking about it. These are actually trading businesses. They created in 2019 115.4 billion rupiah, which is about 6.41 million pounds. Significant contribution to the economy by applying this into the Indonesian graduate community in the workplace. And we've created, by the end of 2020, we've done about a quarter of the programs across the whole of the 7 partners that were involved in this project. And there you see me at the beginning of the project, because I've lost so much hair since it through the project, but you can see working with students and my colleague Nadine Sikowski working with students and academic staff. And the guy on the right is an important person. I met him right at the very beginning from University in Malang, Steve, and he and his dad were setting up a business based on bamboo. And I was taken by this project, and I've mentored him and worked with him. I went to visit his business actually in the middle of the countryside in outside Malang. And he's taken this whole idea, now creating a whole business based on bamboo products, which is obviously a natural resource in Indonesia. So significant improvement, significant contribution to the way that we've developed this business. And each university now, just to give you some idea of this to the audience, have their own growth hubs, spaces where they can, the students, the academics, the external partners can come and visit and meet and develop the startup businesses and invest in the businesses. Because funding is important. We've heard a lot of presenters today talking about access to banks in Indonesia, and particularly online banks. So all of those partners, how do we bring them into the system? And this is part of what the Growth Hub does. This is the one at University of Islam Yogyakarta, which is an architecture-based project partner in the part from the university. So we talk about architecture and engineering here, not business management. These people are creating engineering solutions to business propositions. And there's another university in Bandung, Universitas Pajajaran, which is, this faculty is pharmacy. And Elia, who's the academic partner on the left-hand screen, he was developing this with his pharmacy within the own university. And he used the GITA framework to create an online business, a business within the pharmacy setup. The other 2 areas are their growth hubs, where I'm talking to Febby, one of the partners, and the lady is practicing doing her pitch. Really important part of this. So part of this is part of their general education within the study programs. And on the right-hand side, she's having a seminar session with students and explaining some details about business startups. So it's a really important part of this process. And just to go through some of the benefits and realities now, We ran a student competition at the end of the project. These were the 3 winners. And this is where they are now. They started from nothing. They started with an idea that they created. And we've been mentoring them now for the last 2 years in this program. I just want to go through evidence of the experience that we've had. The left-hand business, Buang Desini, is a business that's dealing with waste, a lot of it. So there's a lot of waste that's around. And what they do is they collect waste and they recycle it, and they use it for recycling it into all sorts of uses for other materials. And there's a lot of recycled plastic now is then taken. They collect up all the waste, the recycled material. They then process it and use partners they've developed with to then create uses for the waste product they've collected to really good effect within Indonesia. And in the clothing sector, it's a really big trend now to use waste, particularly for clothing made out of fibers. We're using recycled plastic. So this business is really flourishing, and it's got so many ideas. It's just taking it forward to its own conclusion. And the students are each of these 3 products have all close to leaving their respective universities. The second one is about smarts, a smart plug tailored for students. Really clever idea. So a student plugs into that device into their socket, and they can then measure how much money they're using and where they can save money and save money for their budgets, their weekly budgets, but also for other uses for that. They're looking also in the industrial sector, the business sector with hospitals in the same way, and using software now to do that. And the app they've created that MyEco have been developing. And that's, again, another successful business. Started off with an idea, crazy idea. We put some sense to it, help them develop it within the Growth Hub. And that's another viable working business. And the third one, MDLP, is a business that started its life in irrigation, technology for irrigating plants on a small scale, but it's now got itself into much bigger farming industrial scale. And you can see there the 2 owners shaking hands there. And this is part of what they've done, but they've now taken the business to another stage where they've set up a second business where the irrigated products that are on there, like vegetable salads, they then use that, package them and sell them to stores as a retailer. So that was just one idea that came out of an irrigation technical idea that they then thought would do this, started to help with farms, and then they've started to work with the farmers to then sell the product, packaged it to the retailers. So 3 really, really good ideas. An experience that we've seen time and again across Indonesia is where the creativity and innovation in the education world is being transformed now into economic benefit, creativity, idea generation. And they are now working with other businesses to create new ideas and to share their experiences, some good, some difficult, a lot of difficult, and a lot of successes of how they've achieved this and the way that they've set up their own businesses. So the whole GITA program has now taken a time in itself. And on top of that, we've created a national body called Al Sawira, which is as a program run by Indonesian partners. We're an associate partner. It has a legal entity, and the Al Sawira national body represents the developing GITA framework for the as a point of reference for the ministry. And so the project has finished, if it ever was a project, because it had a world of its own. Al Sawira has taken over the mantle of managing that process, and you should be contacting them to help and support them. And they're becoming the point of reference for the ministry now to talk to how you then develop this idea in education and develop it in the growth hubs and in the developing it into the world beyond that. So it's a massive, huge thank you to all the partners in Indonesia. We've seen this working so well now, and the business has just become such a project's been such a positive thing. So thank you, and Dan terima kasih to everyone. Thank you.